And this is the investigation of the Mangaluru Blast case. Now we are told that phosphorus from matchsticks, also sulphur from local chemical shops and other ingredients from Amazon were used to actually shape this IED that was put inside the pressure cooker. These are established reports that we are bringing to our viewers. In fact, my colleague Arunama has more detail. She is joining us on the broadcast. Arunama, just take us through all that you have established.
So there were, forensic test reports that were awaited before the Mangaluru police went ahead and labeled this a terror attack. Those forensic test results have now come, and they've said that in the IED, traces of phosphorus, of potassium nitrate, sulphur can be found, also charcoal. Along with that, there were two cells that were perhaps used to complete the circuit, the timer device, wires and nuts and bolts that were found inside the pressure cooker. Subsequently, when Mangaluru police went and carried out searches at the Mysore residence of the main suspect, they recovered close to 50 packets carrying various kinds of explosives. And preliminary investigation seems to suggest that this phosphorus material that was used in the IED was chipped away from matchsticks. There are a lot of matchboxes also that have been recovered, and the Shimoga investigation, in which the Mangaluru suspect Sharik's name is also mentioned. In that investigation also, the police found how matchboxes were used to procure phosphorus. As far as sulphur is concerned, the suspicion is that it was procured from local chemical shops. And, there are e-commerce websites that were utilized allegedly by the suspect to procure the other materials. Now, what the police have said in terms of the timeline is that on 3rd and 4th of September, Sharik was in Coimbatore. Okay. Who did he meet there? Was there a common handler between him and the Coimbatore accused? That is a matter of investigation here. It is being investigated whether there was a common handler. Also, the Kerala connection, in terms of his travel, he landed up in Kerala when in a place called Aluva. Why did he go there? And at that address, he got an e-commerce packet delivered. So both the police in Kerala, Karnataka, the NIA and the Coimbatore, they're all trying to ascertain as to what this packet was. But it is very clear that he was trying to move from place to place. He had also gone to Nagarcoil. That's what his SIM card location states. So this is now a multi-state probe. NIA is yet to take over officially, but they're part of it unofficially in any case. Multi-state probe giving enough evidence to show that this was an ISIS module. And the target was a place. It was not a suicide bomber. Was that a common handler of the ISIS module in Coimbatore and Mangaluru is what is being probed right now.
Also, Arunima, we are constantly playing those visuals on the right side of the screen for our viewers on what exactly has the police got from the investigation and the searches that the police conducted at Sharik's residence, the accused's residence. However, one important information, Arunima, that you've also brought for us is that just 2 months back, there was a bomb trial that Sharik and his associates did on the banks of Tungabhadra, and nothing could be ascertained then.
Yes, in fact, one of his aides was arrested back then, and Sharik fled. This was when they carried out this trial blast on the banks of Tungabhadra. The police registered a case, and he fled. And that is the fear. This timeline that we have of his movement, the initial investigation suggests that once the Tungabhadra trial of the explosives happened, and the police got after him, he fled and then reached Coimbatore. Now, why did he reach Coimbatore is the question. Did he think that he would get support there? Who were the people who were giving him, a place to stay there or logistical support? That is what is being investigated right now. From Coimbatore, he went to Nagarcoil. There's also an Ooty connection that they have found. One Surendran actually has told Tamil Nadu police that he helped him procure a SIM card. Sharik came across as quote-unquote a boy who seemed lost, and therefore Surendran claims that he gave his Aadhaar details to him. So these are various threads which are coming out. Who were the people who were in touch with him? Who were the people who were helping him? Why were they helping him? Those are the investigation routes that multiple agencies are now taking to ascertain who else was part of this ISIS module and what was the exact target and plan.
Right, Arunima, thank you so much. Let me take this back to Patikrit, who continues to be with us on the broadcast. Patikrit, now we're also learning that the explosives that were used in Mangalore were similar to that were used in Coimbatore. However, we have been told that the Mangalore IED was way better when it's compared to Coimbatore, which was sort of rudimentary. Do you think all these put together are good enough to establish a link between Coimbatore and Mangalore Blast?
So let me tell you, there's a place in Coimbatore called Ukkadam, which has been a hotbed of radicalization, and the person whose influence has been very profound in that place. It was Zairam Hashim. Zairam Hashim was the founder of National Tawhid Jamaat of Sri Lanka, and he was also the mastermind of the Sri Lanka church bombing, which happened in 2019, in which he also was one of the suicide bomber, and he died in that. But Ukkadam is the place in Coimbatore which has been, like Kasargod in Kerala or Bhatkal in Karnataka, a hotbed of radicalization. If you see the materials which have been used in making these IEDs, like potassium nitrate or ammonium nitrate or phosphorus or aluminum powder, unfortunately, most of these things are available in the local shops, like as fertilizers or any other minerals, and they can be easily combined. The difference, I think, the difference in kind of why the IED of Coimbatore was better than this one, as you are mentioning, I think the difference is perhaps because these people have been trained rudimentarily in making those IEDs, and sometimes, and that's exactly the reason why both these IEDs actually exploded before they could be taken to the original destination of explosion. In case of Coimbatore, perhaps the target was the Kota Ishwaran temple, and before that it got exploded. So I think while they have been radicalized and indoctrinated both online and offline, perhaps when it comes to training or making the IEDs, their training has fortunately not been to that extent, not been professionally trained. And so sometimes, and perhaps most of the time, what we are witnessing is that these rudimentarily made IEDs from locally available materials are exploding before they go. Yeah. But there is a strong linkage. And these are the way, this is exactly the way, if you look at Kasargod is a place where there was a person called Rashid Abdullah, who has been a recruiter of ISIS. This is exactly the telltale signs of footprints of ISIS, and they have told to have a distributed architecture. You go individually in different places, do these terror attacks, but you don't leave a trail, a long trail, so that you don't get, the people behind it are not get caught. But there is a very, very strong and a very challenging situation which is emerging in the whole of South India. Unfortunately, for a long time, as I mentioned, South India had this presumption that they are immune from this, but they are not immune. Let's remember, not only the Sri Lanka terror attack, Maldives had been, which is very close to parts of southern India. Maldives has been one of the biggest hotbed of radical Islamization and ISIS in terms of the number of people in proportion to the population. And there has been a large number of people who keep on going on to each side. So the issue of Coimbatore or the issue of Kasargod or Mangalore or the Bhatkal region, these are hotbeds. And I think there's a concerted requirement of the state governments to keep aside politics and go ahead and solve the issue. Unfortunate thing, ma'am, in this case is that whether you talk about the Coimbatore incident where 150 people were on a terror linkage and on trail, but on radar, but unfortunately they slipped off and they were almost on the verge of doing an explosion. In this case also we see something similar happening, that this person was on the radar but then he slipped. So there is a lack of coordination somewhere, and I think this is where the police has to understand that their job is not just the day-to-day law and order maintenance. Fighting terrorism is a strategic job as well. There is a lack of coherence between the state government of the different states or state police agencies, and that has to be corrected.
Absolutely.
That is
very important point there,
Patikrit,
that you're mentioning, and we'd have to have that in mind, because remember, there are two things that we are putting out for our viewers. One is this picture of the accused, in this case Sharik, who you can clearly see along with that pressure cooker and the ID device. He's posing in an ISIS signature style. That we are putting out, and we also telling you about the kind of elements and the substances that were used to actually build that IT together. We also so far have not been establishing a direct link that could be found between Coimbatore Blast, but the police are still probing the leads, and we are also told that 50 packets have so far been recovered from Sharik's place for carrying out explosives, and this is not just in one place but several other places. And very importantly, we also been told that in September 2022, just 2 months back, he, along with his associates, did a bomb trial on the banks of Tungabhadra. And this bomb that really took off while he was carrying it inside an auto rickshaw. He did not plan on doing it because, remember, we also have been told that he was not a suicide bomber. He wanted to go ahead and plant this bomb somewhere.